Hello YouTube, this is Mike White. So I had a good friend send me a file to get cleaned up. And normally we only do this when you place an order at 143vinyl.com. But since she's a very special friend, I'm just gonna go ahead and clean it up without an order because I know she'll be placing her order soon. So this file, she says was purchased on Etsy. And as we've all found, a lot of the files that we buy from Etsy are not good quality. So it's also a real challenge because not only does it have, text that's messy, and it's got these little dots, these little parts taken out of the inside. It's also got this gray shine on the text, and we're going to look at, getting rid of that, and then we're also going to look at trying to preserve that or recreate that. But then it's also got this halftone needed all the way around the outside. So like the crisp part of the image, we want to keep sharp, but then we've got this like halftone necessary on this semi-transparency all around the outside. So, to get started, first thing we do, go to image size and evaluate the image, and yep, it is hot garbage. So, trash is the word that we use internally the most, but yeah, this is trash. You can see that horrible edge all the way along there. You can see these pixelated details, and this comes just from a smaller source image being increased in size without upscaling. Someone that's just enlarged it and selling it as a 300 DPI image. It's 4500 by 5400. It's not set to 300 DPI, but that doesn't really matter because we just kind of look at the pixel dimensions. That's all that we care about. And you can see it's also, got about the same level of mess around this. Mess is not the right word. This faded semi-transparency around these letters. So it's just really in need of some serious help. Okay, so there's that. So let's start out by shrinking it down until we see some clarity. And, you really want to go careful with this. I mean, this step is the most important step, is when you shrink it down, what to shrink it down to, how to deal with these different problems. And like I said, this is a real challenge with this file. I mean, this is, that's why I decided to make a tutorial on it. It's definitely very, very hard. So let's look at 1000. So if I take it down to 1000, I mean, I'm getting some good clarity now around the letters. The main image still looks like it could use more, but I think this is the right size for the text to actually take it down to 1000. And it may be okay even for the main image. It's not as bad. So, we're never going to get rid of some of the flaws here because the drawing itself just has flaws. One thing I can point out right here is he's missing the black out of his armpit here, which is not good. I don't know what color shirt we're putting this on, but we want to at least make it ready for like a heather gray or, a solid black. It's probably not going to look good against white ever because it's got these white letters. So, but we definitely want to deal with something about that black right there that's missing. All right, so I'm gonna go with 1000. I mean, that's any more than this, and I'm worried about losing the fine details on the insides of these letters. This distress pattern that they've got applied. So probably could use more, but I'm gonna go with 1000. Let's go with that. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna hit Control-0 to center it up. And anybody that's familiar with my tutorials knows what's next. We're gonna export this. I've got the original right here, and I'm just gonna make it a little smaller file name. We don't need all that. They put all this stuff in the file name hoping to get some SEO benefits, for people to find the file online, but I'm just gonna make it a little bit smaller. Snitches get stitches, Christmas, why don't we put elf? I mean, he's an elf. All right, and I'm just gonna say 1000 alpha, and that lets me know it's got a transparent background and it's 1000 pixels. And now we're popping over into gigapixel. You really need a nice computer to do this stuff. I see people trying to use laptops, and we computers. You know, I've got a real juicy machine. It's taking it to 6x. You know, I'm either going to go with HQ or standard. You can look at art and CG on a file like this, and you might like the effects, but it's not gonna have the crisp details. It kind of makes things look a little more hand-drawn, and I'm gonna go with the crispness that we get from probably standard. Standard looks like the right choice for this one, so we'll save that. Save. So now we're back in Photoshop, and the first thing I want to show you is, you know, what we've achieved. You know, if you remember what it looked like a little bit ago, it's just a lot crisper now in all these details. It's not perfect. Far from it. You know, it's just a bad drawing in general. But we've picked up problems, and that's what Gigapixel does. You know, it's the best AI software that I can find, you know, but it definitely introduces elements of problem. And what it's done is it's made this semi-transparent right through here. But you can see what it's done to this edge. It's really hardened up this edge and really kind of applied this black line that we might not necessarily want. But that's the beauty of this, is we're taking control of the image, and so we can now, you know, manipulate it to do what we want it to do. All right. So this is our new, you know, we're at 6,000 pixels. We got a lot of room to work during our edits, and we've preserved a lot of little fine details in the image. Okay, so we don't need to make any changes there. I just wanted to look at it with you and show it to you. So the first step is going to be to isolate all of this, what we want to be solid white. You know, rather than fight these edges, we're just going to isolate the white. So we're just going to use our magic wand and draw around these things. And then I'm going to go in and get all of these little circles that I think are solid whites. And I just noticed these like off gray ones, and I guess that's part of the design. So we'll try to preserve that too. But I'm just going to circle all of the little, I'm just holding shift to increase my selection. I'm just going to circle all of these little, you know, white snowflakes. All right, let me just do that. Okay, so with all of those selected, I'm just going to hit Control X. So I've got everything, I've got the text, and I've got everything that I determined I wanted to be pure white that was isolated like this, you know, things that are separated from the main drawing. So we'll just hit Control X to cut that and Control Shift V to paste it back in place. And then we're going to go straight for blending options. Well, actually, you know what? We need to stack some of this up to get rid of that semi-transparency. And that's going to make these edges look worse. So let's do that. Let's go ahead and stack this up. I have a 5-layer stack that I, you know, use for this all the time, but I'm just going to do it like this and just duplicate those layers. You know, 3 looks like it's plenty. And I'm just going to Control E, and merge down. And like you can see, that's really made this solid black outlines that I don't think we want. I think we want, you know, a pure white outline. So we're just going to add a color overlay. And we could have done that with a stroke too. I selected that at first because that's a go-to. And I'm just adding a color overlay white and hitting OK. And then I'm just going to turn that off because that's done. You know, all those look good. I think we're great. Oh, I see one little bit that I missed. Let's select that. And I'm going to cut it off this layer, and then Control Shift V and paste it above my white layer, and then hit Control E. And I just want to talk about staying organized. You know, call this white. That'll just help you as you stack layers and add layers to have that labeled white. So next I'm going to do the same with these gray snowflakes. And this is the beauty of things. You know, you could decide, I don't want gray snowflakes. I want them all to be white. And you can change them all to white. And you can just add them to that layer. But I'm going to try to preserve the original intent. And I am going to, you know, somewhat, you know, make things different. Like this is a lighter gray than that gray. I'm going to make them all kind of a homogeneous gray color. So same steps as before. I've got my still gray snowflakes isolated. I'm going to select this gray color. And we're just going to do blending options, color overlay, and then I'm going to click that color out of my palette here. And I have my gray snowflakes. And I'm just going to turn those off as well. And turn the main layer, because this is, you know, we're kind of isolating things and getting it all easy to work with. So next, let's separate this text. And I kind of said it like that because I'm still not sure how we're going to deal with this text. There's several ways to do it. I mean, one easy solution is to take this, make sure you select the right layer down here, cut it out of there, and just, you know, turn your white layer on, Control-Shift-V, merge it down, and you're going to get white text down there. But let's say we wanted to preserve the gray. I'm going to show you how to do that. So before we do anything else, let's stack it up, and I'm just going to use that 5-layer stack action. This just duplicates the current layer 4 times and then merges visible. So let's just do that, and now we've got a real solid geometry for this layer. So I'm trying to show different techniques. So one technique that you could approach this with is you could do blending options and do a stroke and set it to the inside, and then choose white, and then just increase it just a little bit. And what that would do is get rid of those black edges, but you can see what's happening. It's screwing up you know, the interior parts where there's transparency, where it's, you know, that's cut out of that design. And if I have to go too much, I mean, this is one look that you could be going for, though, and then, you know, that's that look. That's how you achieve that. But I'm going to cancel out of that, and we are going to look at doing a gradient. So depending on your Photoshop setup, your gradient tool might be hidden behind your paint bucket tool. So just hold that down and select gradients. Okay, and I'm just going to start out by drawing a gradient from one side of the object to the other. And I'm just kind of guessing here. That's about right. And this, I'm holding Shift to draw a straight line. Okay, so that's just a linear gradient. That's what I've got set up here. I'm going to pull that down and put that over here. And then let's see if we can just extend that out to make sure that we're on both sides of this. And there's no reason not to, you know, cover both sides like that. Okay, and as you saw, I've got my stitches over top this so that I can play around. And this is the new gradient tool in Photoshop. I'm still not used to it, so watch me struggle with it here. But what I'm going to do is just, I've got white selected, and I'm just going to click here to start a dot, and then pull this all the way over so that I've just got white to white at this point. And I think it makes sense to go ahead and put another white dot at this side. So I've got white going to white going to white, and you can see the effect in the background here. And I'm keeping this on top, this original Stitches layer, so that I can see you know, that, you know, what we're trying to mimic. Okay, and so I'm just going to grab the center of this gray right here. I'll just pick that, and then I'm going to hit a plus sign where I want the gray to start. So I want the gray to start coming in here. I needed to scoot that over a little bit, so we'll just scoot that over and put that about in the middle. I think we can drag this as well. So there's our start of our gray, and I'm putting that in the middle of the gray. And then I'm going to click here and go back to white and just click like right in this area. Like I said, I'm still learning this tool. And there's our, you know, first gray band. This is not something I would necessarily recommend doing on a customer order, but it's, you know, like I said, this is your personal work. You're taking control of this image that you bought and kind of doing the Etsy seller's work for them. So I've just clicked there, and I'm kind of confused myself. Let's see what I've got here. Is this my white? I'm going to Control Z that so I can understand what I did. All right, so this is a white. Let's put this white right here. Yeah, let's put this right here. That's where we want our we want to, you know, keep solid white until there. And we're just looking at the background. We're not looking at the effect on the letters. We're looking at the background effect. And then I'm just going to add another white. I'm making sure that it's pure white by resetting with this little, I don't know what you call that. But let's put another pure white in here. So now that's got a white it's white to white with this slider, and that's going to have no effect because it's just going between whites. And let's now select this gray color. I'm looking for the deepest part of it. Okay. And then we'll just plop that in right here. So now we've got this gray to work with, and we'll bring this white over. And this is our transition point. We'll bring this over. So that's where we're going to have the gray. And then we'll bring this in. And we'll bring this white over. And we're just mimicking what we see until that blends in fairly well with that background. And I'm comfortable with that. Okay, and now let's work over here. So I'm going to put another white spot in here. I don't even know if I need it, but I'm doing it. So there's another white. And then I'm going to select the deepest part of this gray right in here. And then I'm just going to click again to make that gray. So this is pure white. And there's the gray. And we're just kind of mimic what we see. Okay, I mean, I think that's good enough. You know, obviously you could play with this for hours. All right, so now how do we use it? Let's just pull it up above our, you know, layer here. And I'm just gonna right click and do create clipping mask. And so now there's the Stitches layer with its gray preserved, and then just constrain the gradient fill to that layer, but it's completely overlaying it. So you see it's gotten rid of all that, you know, black edge that we got out of Gigapixel. All right. So let's not forget to stay organized. This is our gray, I think. These are our gray. I'm going to call that gray. And I'm actually going to take these two that we just created. Let's turn off that gray and group them. Control G. And I'll just name this group Stitches. Alright, so I've got all of our pieces here. And we can turn all that off. And I'm just going to drag this layer up to the top. Just feels right. Okay, and we'll turn that back on. So this is now all we have to deal with right here. So I've saved this because it's the trickiest part, and it's going to require the most surgery. But also, you know, we've got this semi-transparency, and we want to preserve that if we can, so that we can halftone it. So let's take this, and we also have to realize that Gigapixel lightened this. You know, it added all those semi-transparent parts that we saw, you know, up here in the hat. We can see it where we can see through and around all these edges. So we do need to duplicate this layer, but I don't want to go crazy, because what'll end up happening is we'll end up hardening all of this, and that's not what I want. So let's just duplicate this once for now and see the effect. And, you know, we see those edges that are definitely created by Gigapixel. And it probably makes sense at this point to separate them. I'm going to take the opacity down of that layer that I just created to 50%. And that way it is hardening things up in this outer. I'm really paying attention to the outer part. You know, we'll deal with the main drawing in just a second. And that should, you know, that seems close to what the original intention was on that outer part. And I'll just merge that down. And now we have to cut it off. And you know, I don't know of a quick and easy way to do this. I mean, we're just going to have to go in and separate this part out. I mean, you know, there's parts of it that I don't want. Like this looks like a little bit of mess. I'm just going to delete that. But I'm literally just going to come in here real close. I'm at 100% now. And just draw. And I'm just going to draw along this edge. And just select. And then I'm going to hold Shift. and draw along this edge and just select. And I'm just getting into the tight parts because it's easy to do the far away parts. I'll show you what I mean. You know, with this, I can just zoom around all this. And I probably shouldn't be that lazy. You know, I should do something like this, get in close, just in case there's any mess that I am worried about. I'll just select all of that. And then we'll just select all of this. So there's that. And I'm just going to continue adding to my selection. And you can imagine down here, you got to hold your breath and be really careful and cautious to get what you want. You know, we're just going to go right along this edge and just draw. You could use the magnetic lasso for this. Every time you get tired, just stop. And by tired, I mean like tired of holding your mouth in the funny way that you're holding it in order to make this cut. All right, and then we're just going to keep selecting along this edge. And that's the fine detail. You know, I have a really slow mouse speed, and that helps a lot. But it also just takes a lot of patience and time to get good at this. So same thing here. We're just going to go along in here. In a place like this, I'll dip in to make sure I'm getting it. So I'm just every time holding shift and clicking. And then I'm just following that edge. Shift. Follow that edge. You're just drawing in what you want. Boop. Okay, and I think that we've got our selection pretty good now. And so we're just going to hit Control X, Control Shift V. And I don't know what to call this. I mean, is it a smoke ring? You know, it's something. Smoke ring. Let's call it, oh, that's smoke wrong. Smoke ring. Here we go. And then we'll just turn that off. And I'm actually going to pull that down below. And then we'll take this and do that same duplicate step. You know, you can just stack it up however you want. I'm just going to hit my 5-layer stack. And now I've got, you know, definitely a hard, there's no semi-transparency. And I've got this hard outline, and that's a decision. You know, you can decide, do I want that hard outline or do I not want that hard outline? And if you want it, which you know, there's no problem with it. I mean, really, I'm always trying to fight it off there because I don't know what my customers want. So they didn't show me a hard outline there. There's no reason to put it back. So what I'm going to do is do select, modify. Well, hold on. Control click the layer to select the layer, and then do select, modify, and we're going to contract. And I'm going to try 3 pixels and see if that doesn't get it exactly where I want it. I think it has. It's all inside the parts that I see a problem with. And I'm just going to hit Control Shift I. That selects the inverse. That kind of flips it back to the outside, and then hit delete. And so you could go a little more extreme with that if you wanted to. Okay, and so that's got that. Let's deal with his little arm. Poor guy. Let's just, let's see if we can start with a base from over here. Let's just draw outside the lines here. This may or may not work well. We'll just try it. So we'll just grab that piece and Control C, Control Shift V. And so that's got another copy of it. It's just isolated that. And then we'll do Edit, Transform, Flip Horizontal. Now we can see it. And then I'm grabbing my Move tool and I'm holding Shift and just dragging it straight over. And we'll just place it right there and kind of try to fine tune it in. We'll definitely have to blend that in a little bit. And let's just pull that down below. So now, you know, we've got this weird edge at the bottom and this strange connection here, and we don't want that. So let's try to blend that in. Eraser tool, E for eraser tool. And then I'm just going to get a soft 50% brush and just kind of blend that in. So we're going to first blend in from the, I'm just erasing that part of the original image and erasing this edge. Oops, too much. There's no reason why we have to fight this too much. Let's just see what we got here. Let's get a smaller brush. Oops, I always hit my pen tool. Yeah, I know that that's getting a little too into it, but we'll fix it back. Okay, and then we'll just take this color. I'm hitting B to switch to my brush tool, and then selecting that color and then painting behind with that color to firm up these edges and that connection there. Just making sure I get that everywhere. And then it looks like I need a little bit of love right here. And I'm not super happy with this, but it's not terrible. I'm switching back to my brush tool, and I'm just going to pick on some of this. And I'm going to do a soft brush, 50%. I love 50%. And just touch in some of this, smooth that out a little bit. You go too much on this and it'll be noticeable. So we'll just do little parts, and we'll always try to get rid of our, the effects of our brush. So just a little bit there. That should fix that. Too much is bad. Okay, and then this is our layer that's behind. So I'm just going to select that layer and use the eraser. And since this is the edge, I want full hardness. And I'm just going to draw this out. So I'm going to click here and then hold Shift and click right here. So that just kind of drew a straight line along that edge. So I've got a nice hard edge there. Now I'm going to merge it down. And, just because I'm really concerned about the edges on this, I'm going to keep addressing them a little bit. I still see some softness in there. I'm switching back to my eraser tool, and I'm just going to clean up some of these parts that really seem messy to me and that I think are going to be hard to get away with. So now on this, we're going to do a layer mask from transparency, and I'm going to select the mask, and that'll show me my hard edge here, and it doesn't look bad actually. And then I'm going to do image adjustments, levels. And I'm going to try to zoom out just so I can see everything I'm doing. And I'm just, well, you know what? I've got a pretty strong, you can see it's pretty, there's really nothing to do there. Okay, so we just want to do a threshold. So we're just going to do image adjustments threshold and just set the threshold. And that might make some hard edges here that we don't like. It just gets a little crispy around those edges. But we'll try to deal with those just a little bit. You can see it's brought all that back all the way around. So you can paint that out. I mean, literally, you can use your clone stamp tool and just paint all these edges. And I'll show you how to do that real fast. So let's just control click this part and say, you don't like this, and you don't want this edge here, or you don't want this edge here, you just really, you grab your clone stamp tool and make it nice and small. And let's go with, again, like, 50-40% hardness, something pretty light. I use 50, 0, and 100 a lot. So, and you can just literally just paint, those little parts out, unless you think they add something and you keep them. So, for this, I just don't want all this crispiness. I do want a really hard edge. I see problems down here in the bottom right corner. I mean, gosh, I see problems with the drawing. But see these problems right along here? That would be a good candidate, for the clone stamp tool. So you could just, Alt-click real close, Control-click. I'm going to Alt-click again. And you kind of just go with the angle and you just paint that stuff out. And come back from this side. But see, I've even got some you know, that's revealed more of the problem there. So we're going to do it one more time. We're going to control click. We're going to do select, modify, contract. And I'm going to contract again by 3 pixels, which is a lot. Like that's, you know, you have to be cognizant of where you're at, what size you're at. And we don't want to lose too much of this part of the hat. So, you know, just be cautious. Don't go crazy. And then let's do select, modify, and we're going to do smooth. And I'm actually going to smooth by 5 pixels. And that may deal with some of this, like, you know, crispy edge part that I'm looking at. Control Shift I, and then we're going to hit delete. And that should have us a real pretty, you know, fairly soft edge all the way around. It's not perfect, but we're also working at 6,000 pixels, so we know we're probably going to go smaller for our final. Okay, so now we've dealt with everything except maybe the hardest part, and that's the smoke ring, okay? So to deal with the smoke ring, I'm actually going to separate it. I'm also going to aim for my final size before I move on, okay? So let's just resize this document. We're gonna go to image size, and you've got to think to yourself, you know, what's going to be the final size, all right? So let's actually turn all these on. Forget the image size for now. Let's go to image trim, and we'll trim based on transparent pixels. And again, for this step, you need to know what size you want to print it at. We're going to halftone that gray smoke, and we don't want to go. We want the halftone effect to be the right size for printing. We're making this as a DTF transfer, so we don't want to go too. We want to get close to the print size, or the effect of the DTF of the halftoning won't look right when it's printed. So let's look at our image size one more time. I'm going to go ahead and change this to 300. It does not matter. It does not matter. It does matter for halftoning effects because we're using math, and it matters when you actually send it to print that it's at 300. But the pixel dimensions are all that matters. Okay, so now, you know, the height. I'm going to assume that she wants to print this about 12 inches high. And so the height is greater than the width, so I'm going to focus on the height. And we'll choose this. We'll set this to 3,600. And as long as we're close, I mean, if she wanted to print this at 8 inches, the halftone effect will still look okay. You know, it's just you want to get close. You don't want to halftone it at 6,000 pixels and then, you know, print it at 3,600. Like, that would be too much of a gap. So if I go 3,600, and if she decided to print it, you know, 13 or 14 inches high, it wouldn't be too bad. You know, blowing it up just a little bit like that wouldn't hurt too much. You know, we're just kind of going to aim for the middle there, okay? And we set it to resolution of 300. I'm going to hit OK. All right, now everything is at that size. And you know, that's the last step. You want to do that very last. We've trimmed it. I actually see a little bit of oddity up here at the top. There might be some mess. No, it's that C sticking up and holding it open. When you trim, that's the time where you can really catch a lot of problems. You know, you can look at things and see if they're actually centered properly. This, you know, as trash as this was, it's actually centered very well. Everything looks pretty good. So the original designer knew what they were doing. Okay, so let's look at making this smoke ring halftoned. So I'm just going to right click on this and duplicate the layer on new. Okay, and you can even go over here and just delete it from this one. We don't need it to stay. So now we've got this just isolated by itself, and we don't want to trim or change the size or anything, but we want to go ahead and save this as, and I'm going to save this as, I'm going to name it something proper, so I'm going to call it the smoke ring resized. And I just kept the original name there because that just keeps all my stuff organized by name. Makes it easier to see what's related to what. Okay, and so now that that's like that, then we're going to halftone it. So I actually have this saved as a halftone action, And I'm not going to go through all the steps of halftoning this because you know I've got other tutorials out there that just deal with halftoning. So just go watch those and record yourself in action, you know. So I'm just going to hit play on this action. And that has got my smoke ring halftoned. And see these black edges, I'm really not super happy with that. So I'm going to hit F12 and revert. And let's just see if we can deal with those black edges. Control click this. And let's do the same kind of contraction we've done. We haven't contracted this at all. So let's contract that by 3 and then Control Shift I and just hit delete. We're gonna lose a lot of that smoke. Maybe too much. Okay, so F12. Let's control click it. Select, modify, contract. We're just gonna do 2. And then Control Shift I, and then hit delete. And I hope that's enough. I think it is. I think it's gonna be okay. I think it's gonna get rid of some of that black. We'll just find out, okay? So now I'm just gonna hit Control S to save it. So now it's saved. And then I'm gonna hit my Pro Halftone action. And hopefully we got a little bit less of that hard black. Yeah, we did. And more of just what we wanted. And that's where you can fine-tune this for yourself. You know, you can fine-tune this, make it what you need, make it what you want. You know, you could have set a color overlay over this whole area and forced it to be one color, which actually sounds really good. Let's do that. Let's F12, we'll revert. Actually, I'm going to Control Z all the way back. Hold on. So I've gone all the way back to before I did my contract. Okay? And I'm just going to do, I'm going to save this again. Alright. So that is saved. And then we're going to play that action. Control 0, Control 1. And then I'm just going to pick, well, you know what? Let's go with the same gray we've got over here. So let's just grab this gray color. And that'll tie that in. And then we'll just do blending options, color overlay, and we'll use that gray color. I think that's going to be our best result. All right. So I'm going to rasterize this style, and then I'm going to hit duplicate layer and put it back on that standard scale where we were working before. And there's our gray layer, and you can hardly see this stuff because it's faded back in. You know, it's when it's a solid, nice color. You know, this is ultimately designed to look at on black. So let's look at it on black. Let's just make a solid color of black and drag it below everything. And now you can see the final effect we're going to get on a black shirt. All right, don't forget to save it. We'll do File, Export, Quick Export as PNG. Let's name it. I'm just going to say Elf Cleaned, and then my name and 143. All right. So that's my final, and I'm sticking with it. And I, you know, wish I could have done better with the main graphic, but at least I cleaned up all the other elements. And there's not much you can do with that main graphic except redrawing it. And we can definitely do that, but that would take hours. I know this is a long tutorial. I hope it helps. This is Mike White signing off. Thank you guys for buying your custom transfers from 143vinyl.com. Take care.